What's going on, guys? It's your boy Escobar Get Down at Send Me Noobs, and today we've got an interesting video. So today I will be showcasing what I do on a daily basis every time I log into GTA Online. So as you can see, we're here at my agency, and there's a reason I like starting off at my agency, and obviously one of them is the fact that I can restock all my snacks if I'm in the need to restock all my snacks. But I can also go ahead and restock on any ammo or any explosives, really just about anything I need before I go ahead and get cracking into some of the things I'm going to be doing. And then later on, when I really start to grind out certain missions or heists or whatever it may be that we're going to be doing for the long term. But this is the first couple things I do when I enter GTA Online. The other reasons I really like the agency, and I honestly believe that it is one of the best businesses in GTA Online, is simply for the fact that it does actually have all the things that you need. It has the armory, it has, snacks, it has a garage. It gives you the Dr. Dre contract, which is $1 million payout, which I think is a great way to grind $1 million, for roughly an hour's worth of work. And I think as a solo player and as a new player, the agency is one of the best businesses you could start off with because, like I said, you could go ahead and grind out certain things like the Cluck and Bell or the Mackenzie Airfield, and they're going to be about the same time once you get accustomed to those, but you're not getting $1 million payout at the end of it. So that's one of the other reasons. Plus, you also get the security contracts, which, as you can see, we have just started our vehicle recovery as it is a Specialist Plus. There's always going to be 3 security contracts that you have access to. They range in what you actually make on them just based on what the level of that security contract is. So Specialist Plus obviously being the highest paying one. So we're going to go ahead and knock this out real quick. I'm going to go ahead and call my Market Presser 2, which is my vehicle of choice whenever I'm moving around the map real quickly. Traditionally, it's probably the most used vehicle I have. I know there's other vehicles out there that are faster than the Market Presser, but I really do just like the Market Presser for what it is. So we definitely went in and grab that real quick. We're gonna go ahead. Obviously, Franklin's giving us his little spiel about what the security contract is. We're gonna just ignore that. We don't really need to listen to that. And then we're gonna head over to the Humane Labs. Now this is one of the longer ones, so we're gonna go ahead and skip kind of a lot of this real quickly and just showcase what we really need to. So let's go ahead and skip on over to where the Humane Labs actually is. And as you can see, we're coming on up to the Humane Labs. So what I personally really like to do, even though a lot of people don't like running this particular security contract, I don't mind it because what I've found is I can just go ahead and call my Iron Mule, and it'll spawn pretty close to the Humane Labs. It won't spawn right in the Humane Labs, but it does spawn very close. And this is one of the few missions that you can actually use the Iron Mule to transport the vehicle. So I went ahead and called that in. Now we're going to go ahead and hop up in here, and there's going to be a good number of guards we're going to have to take out. I'm using one of my favorite guns, really, which is just, I think that's the MG. I don't know, actually. But either way, this one was my most used guns, and we're just going to go ahead, skip kind of through all this real quick, take out all these guards, and get to what we need, which is where the stolen animal is, which is, it's always going to be in a vehicle. It's not always a stolen animal. It's sometimes something else, but it is always in a vehicle. And this is always going to be the same layout every single time you run it. So it's pretty, once you get used to it, it's a pretty easy mission, honestly, in my opinion. So quickly go ahead, take out all these guys, and then we're going to go ahead and grab one of these trucks that's in here. And then once we actually do grab that vehicle, we're going to go ahead and exit and head out to where the Iron Mule is. And we're going to, like I said, just kind of fast forward through all this real quick so that we don't have to, because it is a little bit, especially in this vehicle, it can be a little bit tedious as far as how long it does take to get to the Iron Mule. So now, one thing I will note is that sometimes whenever you do come up to this switch here to open the garage door, and this happens in actually a couple different missions, certain guards will respawn inside the building, and you might have to take care of them. Luckily, they didn't this time. Every time you exit, you're going to have these two vehicles of mercenaries trying to chase you down. So we're going to skip over to where our Iron Mule is. You're basically going to follow that road out of the Humane's Lab just straight, and you're going to continue straight until you get over here, instead of getting right on the highway. And there it is. There's our Iron Mule. So we're gonna hop out, take care of these last little mercenaries right here. Go ahead, pick up our vehicle and head back to our agency. And once again, we're just gonna go ahead and fly by all this stuff so that you guys don't have to sit here and watch me fly all the way over to the agency because it is a bit of a travel distance. So then just go ahead, drop off the vehicle right here. I preferably like doing that because I can land the Iron Mule because as we all know, this thing has ginormous propellers. So landing it right there in the intersection is easy. It doesn't get beat up or anything like that. We'll drive this in. We'll get a quick little cut from Franklin, saying good work, and we'll get paid. So now, what you're going to notice in this video is the way I like to really take care of it, all the stuff I do in the beginning or the first things that I do when I'm playing is I will fast travel to all my properties. And so that's basically what we're going to be doing for the majority of this is fast traveling to our different properties to take care of everything we need to take care of at those locations. So let's go and grab a couple more snacks. And then, actually, no, correction. Let me reiterate that. We're actually just going to go ahead and do the other reason I really like being at my agency because the second thing I'm going to go ahead and do is go ahead and call up Franklin and get a payphone hit and knock that out real quick because that's a very easy thing to knock out. And not only that, but there is a payphone right down the street here from the agency, so it's easy. I already know where it's at. I can just go run over there after I've called him and wait for him to ring the phone. So it's very easy to do. We're gonna jump over here, jump on our market presser, and or we're gonna get in a fight with this gentleman right here. Nope, but this guy wants it apparently. So we will oblige this man. Oh, sorry, guy. Not sorry. Well, I hope it was worth that $24. So now we're going to go ahead, grab our market presser, and we're going to go ahead, call Franklin, ask for request our payphone hit, and then we're just going to go right over here. Pretty easy if you ask me. And there's our payphone. So now we can just wait for it to start ringing, and once it rings, we'll pick it up, and we'll get a little spiel about the assassination target that we're going to be dealing with from Franklin. However, once you've done the mission once at least, whichever one it is, we can basically just skip through this and not have to listen to him talk for the entire time because it is a little bit long. So then we're gonna go ahead, speed this up real quick, head on over to where we need to. Now, every time you get an assassination target, it will tell you how to collect a bonus, and it's telling you what way they want the target to be assassinated. So for this instance, we're at the golf club, or at the sorry, we're at the golfing range, and we need to kill our target with a golf club. So come up to the front, go to the little yellow circle, and it'll bring you up to this. Now, there's another one of these where we have to be here to kill a target, and you have to run them over with the golf cart. Now, this one's a little bit easier, but either way, whenever you get here, just run over here to pick up a golf cart so that we can go to wherever our target is. And then once we get there, obviously club them to death and get on out of there and leave the area. It's a pretty straightforward mission. Normally, the target will have 2 to 3 bodyguards, but honestly, you can just ignore them. They don't engage you until you've already pretty much killed their client. So just ignore these guys. Come on up here. Like I said, you can see I'll literally hit this person before they start to engage me. So, and wham. There it is. Now they're going to engage, but once again, we can complete this without having to deal with them. Here I am dealing with them. For whatever reason, I chose to deal with them, but normally you really don't have to. So we're just going to hop in our car, and we are going to leave the area real quickly. So let's speed things up, zoom back on over to the clubhouse, grab our market presser, and we are going to get on out of here. Now, normally I would have either already set the preference on where my spawn location would be ahead of time, but sometimes I don't, and you'll just have to do that whenever you choose to do fast travels. As you can see right now, I'm going to go ahead and knock out what I call some of the dailies, which is the Stash House and the G's Cash. G's Cash being just a small package of money that you can find. It's going to be at a couple of different locations. It's different every day. Now, something that is interesting to note that if you change, let's say you fast travel somewhere, the G and you haven't collected the G's location, it will change on the map if you try fast traveling to a different location. Like, say you want to try and fast travel to it, so you think you're going to be there quicker, it may actually put it on the other side of the map. So just be aware of that. Now, the stash house does not do that. If you switch to a new lobby or fast travel to one of your other places, it's not gonna the stash house won't move on the map. It's also always stationary. So that is always a good thing. But G's cache can move if you choose to change lobbies or fast travel to a different property. So keep that in mind. Now, obviously, you have to do a little bit of searching, and normally, whenever you get close to it, you'll start to hear it, or that your controller will vibrate, and so you'll know exactly that you're close to it. This is one of the slightly harder locations just because it is so big, but it has a lot of open areas, so once you do see it, it's not too hard. But I think it's right over here. Yeah, it's gonna be right over here if I remember correctly. Bam, boom, pick that up, and then I believe we decided that we were gonna go ahead and head to the stash house. Run back over here, grab this bad boy, and get on out of here. I haven't noticed that sometimes when you do grab the G's cash, it sets off the police as well. I don't know why that is, but it does do that. It's not every single time, but it does do that. Up and as you can see, we found ourselves a Cayo Perico guard who has intoxicated himself to sleep. So we're just gonna go ahead and pickpocket this guy real quick before we move on to our next activity. And here we are at our stash house for the day. Now, traditionally, I will always, always, always pull this weapon out and make this very quick because all I have to do is shoot 2 to 3 grenades down there. I don't even have to deal with them, and I'm not going to take any damage. It's very easy and very quick. So instead of running down there and hoping you're not going to get killed on the first try or just having to deal with them, just go ahead and pull your grenade launcher out and dump some down there and let them go off. Once that's done, we're going to go ahead and find our code, which is usually somewhere in the room. Sometimes it's a little bit more hidden, sometimes it's in plain broad daylight. Then go ahead and check the code, put it in, grab your stash, and get on out of there. Now, when you do grab the stash house or the safe house, whatever you want to call it, it does fill one of your businesses up with supplies, and that it really is random depending unless you and yourself have gone ahead and filled up your businesses to where you're basically forcing it to fill up a different business for you because you've already filled up all your other businesses. So just keep that in mind as well. So that's obviously a little good bonus of doing the stash houses. So now we're going to go ahead on and head over to our bail offs. Before that, we're going to give Mutt a call and make sure we have our supplies for our acid lab so that once that is filled, we can go ahead and sell that. Now, whenever I do come to my bail office, I don't really or not recently. I haven't really done too much with the individual bounties, but I do just come over here in the beginning and I send out my other guys to go ahead and do what they need to do so that while I'm doing everything else, they're running around in the background. So I did purchase both these guys when I got this property, and like I said, passive income, very easy. Just go ahead, tell them go do what they need to do, and bing, bam, boom, that's it. And then we're gonna move on to the next. So after here, we're going to head on over to the Maze Bank Tower, I believe. Maze Bank West, correction. And we're going to go ahead and do our goods real quick. We're going to go ahead and move those. And whenever I uh, sorry, correction. Whenever I go ahead and do this, I like to kill two birds with one stone. And by what I mean by that is the way I have my warehouses set up, I have two large warehouses and they're both down by the docks because whenever you go ahead and do your export mixed goods, the location for the drop off is at the docks or at the pier or whatever you want to call that area, the cargo pier, docks, whatever, over by the Vinewood Car Club. So what I'll do is whenever I go to do this mixed goods, I will also have my workers at my warehouses go collect or source goods for me as well. So whichever one the mixed goods is not at, I'll go to first, and then I'll go to the one with the mixed goods and have them do what they need to do, and then run the mixed goods because it gives you plenty of time. And honestly, even if we weren't using the market presser to get to where we needed to go, we would have plenty of time to get there and do these things. So this was something I kind of just you know, decided on when I upgraded my warehouses to the larger ones was that I realized where the drop off was, and I realized I could put these two warehouses right here, and it would make this whole process much easier. So here we go. Here's our first large warehouse. We're gonna go in, talk to our worker, have them go source some supplies for us. Then we're gonna go run right down the street, have our other worker go ahead and source supplies from us, and then we'll go ahead and drop off the mixed goods. So pretty easy. And like I said, if you really take the time to think about where missions or where certain things take place in reference to the properties you own, that may also dictate which properties you choose to buy ultimately, because it'll just make certain missions, certain heists, whatever it is, easier when you pick a good location that the property should be in. So, due diligence, I would say. Because I own one of at least every property, and they are all spread out through the map, but there's nothing that's really clustered, and they're at a point where I can honestly fast travel to anywhere on the map within reason because of where my businesses are. So there's nowhere I can't really get to quite easily. So whenever you do these mixed goods, and you pick up the mixed goods and you deliver them, there are some instances where you will deal with NPC bad guys who, pretty easy. They don't really do anything. Once again, you can kind of just ignore them. Or there's one where the police will show up. However, because of how I have mine set up, if you ever need to, the easiest way to get away from the cops is to just go back inside your warehouse. So basically, as soon as the lights come on, I will turn my truck around real quick because it doesn't take long to do it, and I will go right back to the warehouse. It's easier than driving around and dealing with having to avoid the cops. So on to our motorcycle clubhouse, I believe. Now we're going to go ahead and do our bike shop bike, which is a customer's bike, which you can modify in a particular way to make a little extra cash. So this was another add-on to the MC business that I bought when I bought my motorcycle clubhouse. I did buy the auto shop because I do think having it is a good passive and very easy little bit of income. When I first got the motorcycle clubhouse, I did do a lot of the beer run stuff, but as I progressed throughout the game and progressed making more and having better options as far as what I could do making money, I don't really run the beer anymore. Um, Now I have plenty to say on the the MC businesses. However, that'll be a completely different video. And as anyone knows who plays GTA, the MC businesses are not the best, but I mean, it just depends on, I guess, how you game and if you game with others and stuff like that. But it is definitely not the greatest of businesses in GTA Online. It does have a very slight big bonus, but we'll talk about that in the other video. So stay tuned for that when that comes out ultimately. But as you can see right now, we're just going ahead and customizing this, and at the bottom you'll see exactly how you're supposed to customize it, which makes this much easier. You don't have to worry about if you're going to nail the mark or not. It tells you what you need to do in each category, and then shows you when you've completed that. So we're gonna go ahead and run through this real quick, deliver this bike. It's about 30 something miles away. Now, you will notice that on this first run, I end up just barely hitting a sign, and it causes me to lose a little bit of money that I would have made when I delivered it because it was slightly damaged. Now, I will show you how you can avoid if you don't want to deal with that and you don't want to lose any money at all. I'm going to show you exactly what you can do. So there it is. There it is. I hit the sign. We went down from 50,000 to 49, whatever. So now we're just going to go ahead and basically go into a new lobby because our spawn point was already at the MC Clubhouse. We'll spawn in the MC Clubhouse, and the bike will be there, completely customized already, ready to go. So we can just hop on it, deliver it again, and we won't lose any money. So if you guys are ever worried or you ever are irritated that like a car might have swerved out in front of you or you hit something and the money went down, just back out of the lobby, honestly. And then you can do this and not you'll actually see this later on in the video. You can actually do this too when let's say you get a very far distance and you're not in the mood to drive it, 5 miles, then you can do the same thing back out into or go into another lobby and try it again, and it might give you a much shorter distance. So we'll actually see that happen later on when we're at the bunker. You'll see that it gave me it gave me a 5 mile, destination. I didn't really want to drive that because it's a pain. It's not. It's just irritating. So I was like, you know what? Let's back out. And when I did and got back in, it was a much shorter distance. So you guys will get to see that here in a little bit. But as you can see, we're just zipping through on over and delivering this. Pretty easy stuff, guys. Pretty easy. And like I said, this can vary as well. So this one was about three and some miles. I don't traditionally mind doing those ones. However, there's sometimes I don't feel like doing it, so I'll try. I will back out and try and get the shortest possible distance I can. But this one wasn't too bad, honestly. So, or if it's just a route that I just don't really want to mess with. So. Bing, bam, boom, delivered. Payment for delivery 50,000. Service cost 10,000. Now, one thing I will say about the MC Auto Shop is part of it is it actually does pay out the proper way. Which and when I say that, what I mean is, if you guys have ever noticed, I'm sure most of you have, with the Auto Shop, you have the ability to customize custom vehicles, customers' cars, and do the same thing basically. However, for some reason, it seems like the cost to what you actually make for it is very off. Even though you do get that money back, it's a very weird system. But we'll talk about that later in another video as well. So as you can see, we're here at the bunker. Um, and what I like to do, obviously, first is go ahead, make sure I have supplies. If I need to, I will resupply. And more than likely, I'm just gonna pay to do it. Time wise and everything like that, it's just smarter to go ahead and do it that way. So it's much more passive. And then once again, like a couple of the other businesses, this one has a vehicle that we can transport some goods with and make a little extra cash. This is obviously ammunition, so we're going to be delivering this to ammunition. So here we go. Now, this is what I was talking about earlier. So you're going to get a little call from agent, ignore that, whatever. So as you can see down at the bottom left, it says, it's 5 miles away. Well, I don't want to drive that. So we're going to go ahead and go to another lobby and try again. And once again, you're going to pop up right where you spawned this when you originally did this. We're going to hop in the vehicle and we're going to try again. See? Bing, bam, boom, right there. All right, and here we are. As you can see, we have a much, much shorter route. So, like I said, that trick does help. Like, if you're just not in the mood to do a long one, just go ahead, back into a new lobby, and more than likely you're going to have a shorter one. So, there it is. Now, here's another little interesting. As you can see, I'm not necessarily following the road. So the reason for that is because, as you can see, we have two NPCs on us chasing us the entire way. Now, normally, the majority of the time, they're going to be mercenaries, but sometimes you do get lucky and it is just two lost MC vans. However, when it is the mercenaries, they are always faster than your vehicle. So to alleviate the stress of dealing with them, because they are just annoying to deal with, I cut through a lot of these areas instead of just staying on the direct path. And because of the fact that the NPCs will not follow you over certain things or through certain paths, so it kind of just helps, and you can kind of trick them even by going through something to a road where they would normally come down and then cut across, so that they're stuck on that, because then they'll backtrack and it'll basically make the whole entire mission a little bit easier for you, and you just won't have to deal with them. So there is that little tip true, and I'm gonna have a video on like a better way to showcase that, because like I said, on this one we had the MC vans and they're not hard to elude traditionally because they're not that fast anyways. So here we are though at my hangar. Now my hangar is on Fort Zancudo, and as you can see, it is nicely stocked up with some very nice vehicles. And we're just going to come on over here and we're going to talk to Rooster, and we're going to have Rooster go source us some crates while we go do other things. So another really easy passive business to be doing in the background. So onward now. and we are going. I didn't see where we. Let's see. Where did we end up? Yes, we're at our nightclub, the Palace. So as I was saying earlier, the MC business has one big bonus, and it is this right here. So with the MC businesses, you get access to the full ability to maximize profit through the nightclub. However, I'm not going to get into the specifics of that. I'm going to do that for a later video. But what I'm doing right now is I was going to go ahead and up my popularity. However, it was down a little bit, but it wasn't too bad. So what I have learned though is if you ever go into your nightclub and you're not a CEO, and instead of having to sit down on the computer and run a mission, you want to try and just see if you can get your security guard to text you or somebody to text you about, someone in the nightclub, and to take care of them, either drive them or, kick them out. It's a little bit easier. It's less time consuming. So what you can do is just go walk outside your nightclub, become a CEO, walk back into your nightclub, and more than likely, like you can see right here, I just got the message from Marcel that there's a disgruntled customer over at my bar at the lower area, and I need to remove him. So that's what we're doing right now. We are getting rid of him. Hasta la vista. And that's simple. So, like I said, if you don't always want to worry about running the longer missions and everything like that you have to do to, boost your popularity, then you can do something like that and just try that. It's a little trick that I've learned over the time. So, do what you will with that. So, but as you can see, we are now at our auto shop. So, as I was talking about earlier when we were talking about the MC business, here we have two lifts with vehicles, customers' vehicles that we can modify to make a little extra cash. As you can see, my auto shop is full up right now with vehicles. I like to store my Fast and Furious collection here at my auto shop. Just my preference. So, and obviously, as you can see, I had the slam van that I did win by completing all the challenge or tiers for one of the career progress. I can't remember which one it is right now, but I can talk about that some other time. But as you can see, same concept. We're just going to go in. We're going to go ahead and modify these customers' cars. It's going to tell us what we need to do to modify it to get the full payout. And so we're going to go ahead and do that for this first one, and then we're going to go ahead and do it for the second one. We're not going to deliver the first one and then come back and do this. We're going to go ahead and do both these cars right now. Then once I have done both the vehicles, I'll go ahead, deliver it, and then just fast travel back, deliver the second one. So real easy, real simple, real quick. And also, as well as I was just thinking about it, and I totally forgot to mention though, the great thing about these two is also you have access to actually purchase these vehicles. Now, when you purchase these vehicles, you don't lose the vehicle that's standing in front of you. You basically just get a version of it. You get the version that you see before you, but it goes to your garage and everything like that. And so what's really good about that also is that a lot of the times you might get some removed vehicles. So if you're ever curious, like, always check your, the Legendary Motorsports or the San Andreas Auto Motorsports or whatever, and see if those vehicles are available for you to buy. If they're not, then you know that they've been removed, and I would highly recommend getting them while you can. If you don't see them coming up in one of the weekly updates or something like that. So it's a really cool little perk of it, like I said, and it'll tell you how much it costs before you buy it. So you have the option to decide if you want to buy it or not. So. But as you can see, we finished both vehicles. Now I'm going to go ahead and deliver them. I'm not going to, bore you with the entire ride of me driving these vehicles over there. So in a second here, we're just going to go ahead and skip on over to the drop-off point. And same concept. If, you get hit, you damage the vehicle for any reason, you will lose money. And if you like, you can go ahead, go into a new lobby and try it again. Or if you just don't care that much, then go ahead and deliver it. But obviously, you will not get the full payout. So as we can see, we got the full payout this time. Customer was happy. And now we're just going to go ahead and do the same for the second vehicle. Now, I will say that as far as the auto shop goes as a business, I do like it. It's not a terribly bad passive business. Or, I mean, it's not, I guess it's not really a passive, it's not really a passive business because you still have to technically do even like these cars. So, but it is, and it does have access to the the auto shop missions and stuff like that. And I've done a couple of them. I'm not a big fan of them, to be honest. Like, I don't think they're terrible. I don't know. I feel like they're not the greatest. But it on weeks that we have like double pay or something like that, I definitely go ahead and get into them and do and knock them out. So I think I actually will be going ahead and doing quite a few of them, honestly, because I'm kind of at a point where I want to really try and clear some awards and unlock progress and career stuff, and like I'm gonna have to do a bunch of them to do that. So that'll probably be in some other future videos though. So stay tuned for those, but. As you can see, we have gotten our second vehicle on over to the drop-off location. No issues. Um, so happy customer, full payout, good easy run. All right. Yeah, you're happy. Good. Cool. Awesome. See ya. All right. So now I'm gonna go ahead and spawn in my Mark or my Oppressor Mark II. I'm sure there's going to be people in the comments that are going to, call me on saying Mark Oppressor or whatever, but, it is what it is. So, yes, the Oppressor Mark II. I am calling that out real quick because I am currently going to go ahead and do two other dailies that I traditionally do before I do anything else, just because they're easy, they're a little, it's pretty fun, and, they're, it's just something I like to do in the beginning. So basically, what I'm going ahead and doing now is I'm going to head over and get it what is called the shipwreck. And actually, in the week that we're in right now, that this video was recorded and edited and uploaded, we are at double pay for this. So it is paying out 50,000 right now. Right now, it is over here, over by the airport off in the back corner. It's always going to be in this little area like here. And if you're wondering how I know where it is, I will be posting up a picture somewhere around here or along at this point in time of a website that you can go ahead and use that I love using and I was introduced to, and it's GTA Web EU. It's basically a very small. It's almost like what were those like the beginner guides you used to get back in the day with video games, where it would tell you where all the treasures are and all the collectibles are and all these little things that are in the game. And so you can actually go onto that website. It gives you a map of Los Santos. Even it has a map of Cayo Perico as well, so you can also see things that are over there. And it gives you a drop down menu that you can actually select what it is you want to see, where the locations on the map, and that can include things like the LS tags, which is what I'm about to go do right now. The shipwreck. There's the sunken treasures. There's 10 of those. Those pay, and they each pay 10,000. They're all over the map, and you just got to scuba dive for them. There is the movie reels. And you get all different awards for all these little things and everything. But it does make it so much easier if it's one of those things where you've started collecting and you're really interested and you want to collect them all. That you can just go to this website and use this map and basically see where everything is. And I've used it for a lot of things that I've cleared over time. Like I've already done the movie reels. I did the little weed bags or whatever, and I've done a bunch of the collectibles. I think the only ones that I haven't finished that I didn't finish was the action figures, and I'm bound to finish that at some point. But there's about 100 of those. There's 100 of the organics, I think, and then there's some other ones. There's the signal jammers. That one's really easy. So yeah, like I said, I'm gonna post up here somewhere on this video a picture of what it looks like, and then I'll also post a link in the description and everything like that. So if you want to actually access that website, feel free to, because I honestly love it. I think it's really fun. And like I said, so what's really good about it is because like these technically they're daily, so they change every day. The locations change all the time. Now there are only a few different sets of locations that they'll be in, but you don't really know the day of. So like having that and knowing where they are is just makes this much easier, because you can then just zip around and get to where you need to do and knock it out in no time. So as you can see, a lot of the times I don't need to fast travel to them, because there'll be days where a lot of them are just down in the city and I can just zip around in the city. But then you have days where, like today, they're kind of spread out. So there were like two down in the city that I knocked out real quick, and then as you can see, I'm fast traveling over to my facility real quick in Pluto Bay, so that I can go ahead and get the other few that are all the way over there, instead of having to just fly over there. So Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's up to you if that's something you want to do. If you want to use that fast travel ability and zip around that way, or if you want to just enjoy the map of GTA and enjoy the game itself, by all means do so. I just personally like to do this when I'm doing these certain things because they're such small things. I don't really want to waste the time flying around and or driving to go do them. They're too simple to really waste the time on doing that, in my opinion. But hey, everyone has their own, way of playing. So have at it, gentlemen and ladies. All right, so as you can see, we're doing another one. I want to say this was the second. Yeah, so that's the fourth one. So we have one more to go, um, and then we'll be done with that. So very simple. I think we're fast traveling back over to the farmhouse bunker. Okay. I will say when in the beginning when I did start out getting when I got back into GTA to be more specific, I did do the underwater treasures a lot because, like I said, they were $10,000, so you could make $100,000 real quick, and it didn't really require that much of hard work. So I don't do them as I don't really do them anymore, but I do know that they're out there. Like I said, for beginner players who want some easy ways to get some quick cash without having to run missions or run heists or do all that, then that's a great way to do that. So definitely recommended way. And like I said, same thing with the LS tags, the shipwreck treasure. I think there's like two treasures you can do if once you've like unlocked Cayo Perico, and there's like stuff you can do over there as well. So definitely cool little dailies. And as you can see, I decided to go ahead and stupidly fly over the prison on my way to this LS tag, and now I have the cops on me, but I just don't care. Let them shoot. Have at it, boys. So we're gonna get out of there real quick, bribe the authorities, get rid of them so they can just be about their merry way, and I can be about my merry way. So now we are heading back over to the agency. And the reason for that, ladies and gentlemen, is because we have completed our daily routine. So you guys have just experienced what I do on a daily basis every time that I log into GTA 5 online. And with that, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you guys learned something. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more content to come.